Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's see. All right, so I hope everybody's doing amazing. All right, cool. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope everybody's doing good. What's going on? What's going on? How you guys doing? Drop y'all city. Drop y'all city. Where are you tuning in from? Drop your city, guys. Where are you tuning in from? Like, share this video with 5 to 10 people that you know might need this information. All right. Yeah, comment the word challenge if you're on Instagram. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. But before we start, where are you guys coming in from? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I see Dallas, I see Cleveland, Philly, Fort Myers, Atlanta. Shout out to who's in Atlanta. Shout out to everybody. Well, y'all know Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas. Where else am I seeing? I'm seeing greetings to, all right, Detroit. I'm seeing what else am I seeing? Hawaii. Shout out to my peeps from Hawaii, Chicago, Seattle, New Orleans. Wow, it's quite a great mix. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of good mix. All right, what else? Where else do we have? Normally, I see my people from Canada, Australia, the UK, South America. I'll be getting a lot of people. Snellville. Not sure where Snellville is. Where is that? Where is Snellville? Where is Snellville? Oh, it's in Georgia. All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, Raiders. Okay, okay, okay. All right. So today, I'm gonna. All right, I knew I got my international people in the building. All right, I see Nigeria represented in the building. Wow, I had no idea we were in Nigeria. Okay, shout out to you. Okay, wow, Nigeria. That's quite amazing. Share this with like 5 to 10 people, ladies and gentlemen. Share this with 5 to 10 people. Tonight's gonna be a quick live, so we're gonna do like 30 minutes. So I want to get this 30 minutes packed with a lot of information. And what we're going to talk about tonight is the dispute process, okay? We're going to talk about the dispute process. So before we start, let me get everybody up to date. Guys, the challenge is one day away. Tomorrow is Sunday. The challenge starts on Monday, okay? So Monday, the 5 day challenge starts. So how do you join? I get this question all the time, and I'm telling you guys how to join. If you're on Instagram, you can comment the word challenge. If you're on Instagram, comment the word challenge. Only if you're on Instagram, comment the word challenge in the chats, right? Or there's a link in my bio. Shout out to my guy, child support is fraud. What's going on, my brother? How you doing, Lionel? I think this is a great Lionel, are you able to come live right now? I think this would be super dope. I think this would be super dope if you come live right now. If you're able to. It's Saturday. You might be out with the family just tuning in. But if you can tune in, hit that button and let's go live for a few minutes and drop some gems on these people. So, like I said, the challenge is Monday, ladies and gentlemen. What you need to do is comment the word challenge. If you're on Instagram, comment the word challenge. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, look at your screen and just text the word challenge. Just text me the word challenge to 917-993-5238. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, text the word challenge to 917-993-5238. My guy, what's good? Yo, I think you should come up with your own line of bucket hats, bro. I think you should just come up with your own line, the child support is fraud movement. I think you should.
Hey, man, for sure. Yeah, I love the bucket. Can't go wrong with a good bucket.
I'm telling you, bro, you should come up with your own line. I think it's gonna be fire. And
Yeah,
then
what's going
each
on? I just
copy
seen
of the
you
book
on.
that
Let
you
me let me
sell,
go and see what my guy got going on.
a bucket hat goes with each copy of the book that they buy. I think it will be so dope.
You may be on to something.
I think it was gonna be so dope. Yesterday I was live and I was breaking down the child support thing, right? Now, when it
Okay.
comes to the credit report, that's the easiest thing. And we know now for a fact that child support is not a consumer credit transaction. It's not even supposed to be on the credit report at all. Now, but
Facts.
there were certain questions that I couldn't answer. And when I can't answer
Okay.
a child support question, I normally point people to your page. When they're talking about arrears, getting it dismissed and stuff, the court part. I don't deal with the court
Right.
part of child support. I deal with the consumer report part of child support. And a lot of people don't think there's a difference, but there's a big difference between getting an item deleted from your credit and then, like say for instance, you have arrears or due process wasn't done, and we know child support is a violation of the Constitution because it violates the separation of powers. Like those court type of stuff to totally get child support dismissed on that
Facts.
side. Do you have anything that you can share with any of the audience here, as in how you can help someone to get that done?
Yeah. So for me, again, this is as always, it's not legal
Not
advice. Just
legal
my
advice.
experience dealing with, just my experience with dealing with child support. For me, I challenged jurisdiction from the very beginning, taking it back to the origination of the actual case. And when I say the origination, I mean the establishment of paternity. To start there, did you even follow your own procedures there pursuant to 45 CFR 303.5? And taking a step further, even with the court process, was the summons, the complaint.
Before we go to the court, you mentioned paternity. During my studies, child support cannot be established without paternity,
Correct.
right? And child
That's
support is
correct.
actually a lien against the social security number, not the natural
That it
person.
is. Right.
All right. So if paternity wasn't established, how how is some of these brothers being held for child support and paternity was never established?
Because under something called prima facie, which says that the courts are taking whatever child support told them as true and correct until you provide evidence to say that it's not. So until you give us something to challenge what they filed, we gonna take everything on its face as it's true and correct. So it's not innocent until proven guilty. We taking it as correct until you file something to say
So
that it ain't right.
so so it's guilty until proven innocent.
Correct.
So it's the opposite way.
It's the opposite way, yeah, because that innocent until proven guilty, that's in a judicial process, but child support is administrative, so it's totally different venue.
That is crazy. That is
It is
wild.
crazy. It's very crazy, and that's how a lot of people they say, "Well, I didn't sign this, I didn't show up, I didn't do this." Yeah, they told them that you consented, and consent comes from express or implied. So your non-action, if they send a summons for whatever reason and a person doesn't respond, that's considered consent.
Silence
Because
is
we
acquiescence.
presume that you agree, therefore,
You did not answer.
exactly. So
It's crazy, isn't it?
it's wild. And even when a person does respond and actually show up, they say, well, okay, well, we sent you a summons and told you, if you agree, bring your financials, bring your check stubs, your bank statements, and tax returns. You showed up with everything. Therefore, you recognize our authority. So you just made a general appearance and gave us jurisdiction over you.
Okay.
They're very tricky.
That
They're very
sounds
tricky.
that sounds deceptive.
It is, and even when you dive deep into what a general appearance is, it actually says it in the language, even if you don't know that other options are available to you. That's not our. We're not held liable for that because ignorance of the law is not a legal defense.
Wow. So, at what point did you say enough was enough? Like, How long were you dealing with this child support issue before you put your foot down, so to speak?
20 years.
How much?
20 years. It was 20 years.
So you're
And
saying they had their foot on your neck for 20 years before you decided it's
20
time
years.
for them to take it off?
For 20 years. And the first 7 years, I didn't even know that it was even active. So technically, I was made aware of it for 13 years, but total, it was 20 years. And for me, it was once I tried to get a passport, and once that I got that denial letter, it was like, okay, let me go on in here and take care of this. And in addition to that, I was incarcerated for 30 days for driving on suspended license because they suspended my license. But and with child support said, well, driving is not a right, it's a privilege. So you can get on the bus. And I explained to the people, I said, look, man, I don't know where you grew up at, but I grew up in Compton, California. Me, especially being involved with the gang activity as a young teenager and a young adult, it wasn't safe for me to get on the bus. I can't stand on Rosecrans waiting for this 125 bus because my life is in danger. So
But your life and your safety is not your concern.
I got a car. Who gives a damn about some license? But once I went to jail for 30 days, and the commissioner told me, sir, if you come back in here one more time on driving on suspended license, we give you 180 days. I said, I'm not doing 6 months in jail for no goddamn child support for no suspended license. Let me go ahead and fix this.
But think of all the brothers that, because I know a few people that got their license and passport taken away because of child support. Is that even right?
No, it's not. And no, I mean, this is just information that can be found on Google. There's the Department of Justice. They sent child support and the courts a notice. I believe it was April 20th, 2023. It's called the Dear Colleague letter. It was one in 2016, but when Trump came into office, he put the chokehold on them and made them rescind it. But once they got him out of office, they came back with a revised one, and they told them that putting people in jail, suspending people's license, passport, these things without giving them a poverty hearing, it's unlawful. And even if you found that they were not paying willfully, there was other means for you to satisfy the state's interest in this process other than spending licenses and things of that nature, because it was counterproductive. So, how can you force somebody to work?
That's slavery. That's slavery.
It's involuntary servitude is what it is.
So that's the correct term. Yeah. Involuntary servitude.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's why. So we have to educate ourselves just to know how to create competent defenses. The whole thing is to not even have to deal with these people. But if you are in that system, it's best that you educate yourself to know how to create a competent defense for yourself.
So the other day I was online, right? And I you know me, I'm a big advocate of consumer law and the capabilities and power that you have as a consumer, using consumer law as your weapon. And I was telling people, listen, child support is not even supposed to be on your credit at all, because nothing in the FCRA, right, speaks. The FCRA basically speaks on credit extended to a consumer, right? So does truth in lending. So the reporting of child support, how is child support even on somebody's credit when it's not even a consumer credit transaction and there was no extension of credit involved? How does it even make its way to a consumer report or to a credit report, as most people know it?
It's a complex answer, because when if you approach it as if it's a debt, and they say, well, no, the FDCPA says child support is not a consumer debt.
It's not a debt either. There was no line of credit extended.
They said that it's not a debt. So it's like, but you're operating as if it's a debt. It's a money judgment. Therefore, they use back back pages to be able to go around. If you coming at them saying, well, they say, well, no, we're not a debt collector. Well, yes, you are a debt collector, because You don't represent me. You don't represent her. You represent the state. You are a debt collector for the state. And if you don't, you're telling me that it's not a debt, but on your website you have a debt reduction program.
That's interesting. How you have a debt reduction program if you're not a creditor, a lender, or a debt collector?
Hey, these are just the facts. And the facts are that, these, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, they notified these people and said, hey, man, this didn't start from a credit transaction. You do not have the authority to pull someone's consumer report to even report this. And in order for you to do that, you gotta jump through some hoops to be able to do that. So it's like, again, but they also told them in that same notice, we're letting you know so we're not held liable, but at the same time, we're going to rely on you to uphold these new procedures that are in place. So it's like, you do what you're going to do. But and now we back to prima facie.
Yeah, but child support doesn't have the authority to go inside of Equifax and furnish anything on the report. Equifax receive information, right? So a consumer reporting agency may or may not. They may report information. There's no law that says a consumer report have to report any information. The law says they may. And then if they're reporting something, if they choose to report something, the thing that they're reporting must be accurate, right? So child support by themselves can't say, hey, I want you to furnish this on Dorian De Levante. He owes arrears in child support. They cannot. So it's a choice that Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion made to take that information and furnish it.
True.
It is a choice.
It is, and how they're able to do it, the way they're using it is because it's a money judgment, and they're using the lien, saying, well, we have a money judgment, it was filed, therefore they're telling the agencies that it's a debt, but they gonna tell you that it's not a debt.
That's fraud, bro. That sounds like fraud to me.
Yeah, so they're very crafty people, man. These are just the facts. This is not my opinion. And if you just want to take it like fact for fact, my case was dismissed for forensic fraud after 22 years.
Wow.
So they can't come after me for defamation of character because my case was dismissed for forensic fraud. So when child support is fraud, I ain't talking about a parent's responsibility to take care of their kids. I'm talking about the actual agency. And as you said, they violate the separation of powers. They put this on your credit report without having lawful authority to do so. They're suspending people's license, even though they were told that they were not able to do it without giving these people a poverty hearing. All of these things, but it all works under prima facie because it's not a judicial process. Yet,
so you see where you could have. I thought you saw the bubble that popped up over my head a while ago and what I was about to say. So if it's not a real court, how can you get locked? So wait.
That's exactly right.
All right, let's talk about the three branches of government, right? We got what? Legislative, executive, and judicial, right? Separation of power, because no branch can operate in the other branch, because that would violate the doctrine of the separation of powers, right? As per the Constitution, yes?
Yes.
All right. Now, I'm not too deep in the Constitution, but I believe I think it's the 14th, I think it falls under 14th Amendment, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think it's the 14th. Life, liberty, freedom.
You're right. It's in the 4th and 5th.
Okay.
No person can be deprived of their life, liberty, and property.
4th and 5th, so it's not the 14th. 4th and 5th. Okay, thank you for that correction.
Yeah, so it's the 5th and the 14th, so it's both.
Oh, it's in the. Okay, good.
Yeah, it is. Yes, you're right.
So now,
liberty is freedom.
Liberty is freedom.
So if I can't be denied my freedom without due process, what is due process? Due process says that there has to be a process, and when you go back, when you dive deep into the Constitution, it literally says that the word due process was the actual meaning of it was the law of the land. What is the law of the land? The Constitution that says you cannot deprive a person their freedom without due process of law. You have the right to be heard, and you have the right to a fair trial.
What about the right to also face my accuser?
Yeah, but how can you get a fair trial in a state hearing where the states are incentivized on the back end, and now you're being incarcerated for something that's not a judicial process? Because they're saying, well, you violated a court order.
So if the state has a financial interest in the matter because they get reimbursed from the federal government for child support collection activities, right?
Correct.
And the actors in this make play court, they're not real judge, or they're not well, some might be real attorneys, but it's not a real judge.
Yeah. So in family court, which deals with custody, timeshare, domestic violence, and all of that, those are typically with an actual judge. But when you move over to the child support side, those are attorneys acting as temporary judges, and they are not judicial officers. They do not have the authority to enter a money judgment, and they damn sure can't put you in jail lawfully for a non-judicial process.
So how are they doing it? Wouldn't that mean that that particular makeshift court has all these powers of executive, of judicial and legislative? Because it sounds like they're making their laws, they're executing them, right?
They are.
And then the administrative process would be executive. They're basically doing all three right there in a makeshift court.
Yeah, that's what exactly was going on. And that's the whole point. Is like we have to educate ourselves to go in there and present the evidence, because that's the only thing that they're going to respond to.
Because you're guilty until proven innocent.
Exactly. When a person comes to me talking about, well, my baby mama or my baby daddy, my ears closed, you lost me. I stopped listening because you're not there. So it's like, let's just pause and let's get back to the evidence, because everything else, there's no remedy there.
Wow. It's just amazing how my people are destroyed because of a lack of information. And it's crazy when people don't know information, how much like there's a lot of people right now that don't even know that child support is not supposed to be on their credit, and the reporting of this child support on their credit is stopping them from getting more lines of credit, starting their businesses, being denied for homes, being denied. Like, there are so many adverse action to this child support thing, and a lot of people don't know that child support should not be on your credit at all. Period.
At all. And it like just I can only speak for myself. Take me for instance, when child support was on my credit report, I purchased a car. My interest rate was 24.99.
Jesus.
Nasty.
What state were you living in?
California.
All right. So, do you know about state usury law?
No.
All right. So, let me find something out. So, what is the state usury law for? You said you live in California, right?
Yeah.
Dude, oh my God. Are you ready to get your mind blown? Are you ready? Let me know if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Usury laws protect borrowers from predatory lending by setting standards for interest rates and fees. Under California usury law, lenders are required by law to limit simple interest on loans to 10% per year. The maximum amount of interest rate that you should have been paying in California was 10%. So did you
So
know that
that was double and a half.
you paid 14% excess in usury interest rate, which is a criminal offense, all because you had child support on your credit and you did not know that something called a state usury law capped your interest rate at 10%.
I didn't know that at all, and I'm damn sure that a lot of people don't know that.
Bro, you'd be so 99. Let me tell you a secret, bro. 99% of people living in America don't even know what a state usury law is.
I didn't until right now. I'm just being honest with you. I've never heard of it at all until right now.
All right. So I want the car that you have now, if it's still financed or leased, I want you to look at the interest rate on it. And I have a letter for you that I'm going to send to you that you need to send to the dealership or whoever financed it.
Bro, that's game right there. What I was going to say, once I had it removed, and then I purchased another car, my interest rate was 2.9.
Hello, princess.
Oh, yeah, I'm at the park, man. My kids where they play baseball at the championship games for today, and like we camp out in the park overnight. It was a whole
Really?
It was like the park was full with tents and everything.
That's amazing, bro.
Crazy. Yeah, but once I got child support removed from my credit report, I got a 2.9.
Ooh, but do you think, bro? You got a what?
2.9 once I got it removed.
So let me ask you a question. How does it feel moving from a 24% interest rate to a 2.9?
Bruh. Like, I think that, like, the interest on it, I think that it's like only cents per day of the interest that they added onto the car. So it was like my interest rate, the total interest, I believe that they got maybe like, it was less than $5,000 in interest over off of a whole term. So it was like, it's crazy, bro, to go from a 4.9 to a 2.9.
You know the amount of people right now that are victims of predatory lending, and then, the other thing too. Did you also know that before any negative item gets furnished on your credit, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's from a financial institution, right? The negative item, the consumer must be notified and a notice must be sent to the consumer before or 30 days after this negative item is furnished?
Say that one more time, because say that again.
All right. So a financial institution, let's talk about your car, right? Let's say you were delinquent on that car. Let's say it was a late payment or something, but it is negative information. If you were ever late and the negative information that got furnished to your report as a result of whatever happened, the institution, in this case, the finance company that allegedly financed the car, they were supposed to send you a notice either before or within 30 days of them furnishing the negative item on your credit.
And now, was that notice supposed to notify you saying, hey, you have 30 days to challenge the negative item that was just put, or just
no, a notice saying we are going to put a negative item on your credit. This is the notice, something of that nature. And it's one of the requirements to furnish negative item. And if that requirement isn't met, a negative item cannot be furnished.
Wow. You just taught me two things today.
It's information, and it shows, like Hosea 4:6, right? My people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. Like, can you imagine people right now? Like right now we have about altogether I think we have about 60 something people, right? Listening right now. America has 333 million people. Right? Do you understand that less than 100 people right now out of that 333 million know this information that we just spoke about? You see how the banks make money because of ignorance. It's the same thing with child support. Ignorance is the biggest money maker in America. Because did you know that if a negative, let's say you were late, right? Do you know that in the terms and agreement of the contract, it says that if you are ever late for any reason, that can trigger an increase of almost double your interest rate. All right, so let's say now that you're paying 10% interest rate, right? On a car that you just got, and then you got late for whatever reason. They can jump it now up to 26 to 29%.
Wow.
And if you don't know your state usury law, you can pay excess interest rates for as long as ever until you address it.
So, and I just want to go back to that because that was my point to me. So you telling me that if a person, just say we just gonna use California because that's what we was looking at. So if a person is in California and they have an interest rate that's over 10%, you have a letter that they can send in to their institution.
Correct.
This is based on the usury laws in this state. It's supposed to cap at this point, and they have to revise that, or there's going to be
so it can go two ways, right? They either reimburse you, meaning that the difference for the time period, they put it in a check and send it to you, or the difference they credit that to the account.
We talking reimbursements?
Yeah. So for the period, the reason why I know is because I've done it. It's something that I've done. I've gotten a few checks. So the reason how it works is this: whenever you went into that contract, right, and you got hit with the interest rate that exceeds your state usury. So let's say it's 3 years that goes by. You get reimbursed for the entire 3 years of the excess, not everything, the excess interest rate that exceeds your state usury. That can be given back to the consumer as a check or can be credited to the account.
Did you hear the words that just came out of this man's mouth? Did you hear?
It's dope stuff, bro.
Bruh.
It's pretty dope stuff.
Bruh. I mean, for a person that had a 24.9, like that is crazy to me.
It is. It is.
So
you paid for that car almost 3 times.
So now let me ask you this, because people always ask me, I'm just thinking of how people ask me questions in regards to child support. So say, for instance, like that car that I had, of course, is paid off as long as am I able to go back to them people and say, hey, man, y'all charged me, or being that it's paid off, it's just dead in the water?
Is there a statute of limitations on fraud?
Say less.
See, I recently came into some information, and going back over my records, you criminally charged me excess of my state usury law. So for the 5 years that I was making these payments and my state usury law is 10%, I either one, need to be reimbursed for all of these years, or if you're still paying on the car, they credit it to the account. But if it's a car that's been already paid off, I'm going back for the check and I'm suing for it.
Oh, I got a check coming there.
Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And I have the California law that says state usury law is 10%. And I have the contract with the interest rate showing that you've been charging me excess of my state usury for the last 3 to 4 years. So upon this new information, the difference now between paying at 10% and paying at 24%, do the calculations. And then you're going back after the excess.
And I mean, and it's just not dollar for dollar. There's damages.
There is damages too.
There are damages.
Because now we're talking about lost opportunity. We're talking about
opportunity costs.
Opportunity costs. And my interest rate. So there's many ways it could go, but a person that lacks this information will forever be a victim of the system. Like, people don't comprehend that is ignorance and bad credit. It's the biggest business in America.
Yeah. Wow. Because you don't make for a person that has good credit, they don't make the banks. They don't make
They
money
don't
off.
make money off of people with good credit. They don't. They don't.
No,
They really
no,
don't.
no.
Because if you're paying 2.9% interest rate, right? Chances are, statistics show that you will make all your payments and you will pay the loan off. Someone with bad credit, right, that's paying 24%, one, they know that that person is more than likely living paycheck to paycheck. That's number one. Number two, those persons are not going to pay off the entire loan. The third thing is they know that there's an insurance built into the finance charge, 15 USC 1605. There's an insurance policy built into the finance charge that protects the lender in the event that the obligor defaults. It's called the protection of the loan. So if the consumer defaults, they're getting full payment on an insurance policy that was built into your finance charge. Now, not to mention, they got full payment on the insurance. They got payment, all the payments that you made, you're not getting them back. They have all of those payments too, plus the interest rate, whether it was within usury or exceeding usury, they're getting that too. And not to mention, they now repossess the car and they sold the car. And they sold the car, they repossessed it and they sold it, and then they come after you for a repossession deficiency balance, which they now sell that contract to a debt collector. And that's just one person with bad credit.
And then sell the car to somebody else.
Oh yeah, they've been sold the car. Yeah, they sold the car, collected those monies, and let's say now that the car was there was a balance of 18. No, let's use round numbers. 20,000. Let's say there was a balance of 20,000 left, right? On the auction, they sold it for 10,000. They sold it for 10. So they pocketed that 10. The rest, the remaining balance now is called a repossession deficiency balance, meaning money that you owe that they subtracted the sale price from. You're delinquent on this. They now take that contract and they charge it off to profit and loss, meaning now they're not paying taxes on it, and then they sell the contract to a debt buyer.
Yeah.
So do you see how many times one institution got paid from someone with bad credit? This is why TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, they don't care if the information is accurate or not, because the amount of time, all right, when a person gets denied for credit, right? The first thing a person that gets denied for credit do is they apply 3 to 4 more times because they're in a shock. Because you denied me, let me go over to this bank, and this bank. They do it. At least 3 to 4 more times they're going to apply. Every time the consumer report is pulled, the bank has to pay for it. If it's a consumer, come on, bro. The more they pull your reports, the more they have to pay for the report. The reports aren't free.
Right.
So if I can get Darain to apply 5 times because of bad credit, there's 333 million people in America, and 200 million of those have a consumer report. 95% of people have errors on their credit, and 99% of people don't know what we're talking about. How do you think they make billions per day? Ignorance.
That's crazy.
I know, right? I promised I wasn't going to get so wild on here today. You know, I'm going to leave that for the challenge on Monday. But I'm about to get out of here, bro. I got to meet up with some friends. They're doing some barbecue. I'm so glad you can join. The Credit Summit is coming up, so you know you're one of my lead speakers on the Credit Summit. It's going to be an amazing experience. And you know what? I want us to do a podcast together, bro. I want us to do a podcast. And I want to know... Let me know the next time you're in Atlanta. The next time you're here, let's do a podcast together.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely be there Invest Fest weekend. And I may be there sooner, but Invest Fest weekend, I'll definitely be there.
All right, bet. Yeah. All right, have fun with the family, my brother. I'll talk to you next time, all right?
For sure.
All right, later, brother. Sweet. Guys, so like what you just experienced was conversation between like People that I study with, like, this is our normal conversation. So what you just listen, you just witness like our like like we'll be just talking, like we'll talk about this stuff, or he'll have his live and I'll go on his live and I'll just be like, this is when you start learning this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, this is how your conversations are going to be. I'm about to get out of here. For those of you that did not get your challenge tickets, it is not too late, okay? If you're on Instagram, comment the word challenge. If you're not following me yet, go ahead and give me a follow. If you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, my name is Doreen Delevante. You can go on Instagram, you can go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube. Give me a follow, give me a subscribe. It definitely means a lot. If you have not gotten your challenge tickets, ladies and gentlemen, comment the word challenge. If you're on Instagram, comment the word challenge. If you have not gotten your tickets to my 5-day challenge, where I'm going to be teaching you how to delete anything from your credit. This goes down on Monday. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, look at your screen. Text the word challenge. Text the word challenge to 917-993-5238. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitch, text the word challenge, guys. Text the word challenge to 917-993-5238. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you on Instagram, we're about to get out of here. Comment the word challenge. I'm going to see you Monday. It's going to be an amazing experience. My people are destroyed because of a lack of information. Emil, shout out to you, bro. Just saw that you came in. My people are destroyed because of a lack of information, ladies and gentlemen. It is time that you educate yourself. The time is now. It is time that you educate yourself so you can defend yourself. There's a lot of you right now that's paying an excess in state usury law, right? Your interest rate is way above what your state usury is, and you don't know what to do. I'll be going over the usury law on the challenge too. I'm making it a bonus item to go over state usury law. Some of you are paying excess, ladies and gentlemen, and you can get those monies back. You can get a check, or the difference can be credited back to your account. If you got child support and it's on your credit, child support should not be on your credit at all. Child support is not a consumer credit transaction. It has no place on your reports. It did not arise from any extension of credit. Child support should not be on your credit. And I have all the information and the letter from TransUnion that states that child support is not supposed to be on your credit, okay? I'll be going over this also on the challenge. Guys, if you have not tapped in, I am telling you, the time to tap in is now. The challenge starts on Monday. I'm about to get out of here. For Instagram, just drop the word challenge in the chat. Comment the word challenge. On the link is also in my bio. It is time that we reclaim the power that's rightfully ours. It is time that we go and get these remedies. It is time we get these deletions. It is also time we get these checks. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see y'all later. I'm going to be out. Peace.